What's going on, guys? Alex here at 14 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Case Knives Sodbuster Jr. So this has been in my collection for a little over a month. I bought the Sodbuster Jr. directly from the Case Knives main store in Bradford, Pennsylvania. My family and I were going through Bradford on our way to the Finger Lakes region of New York for a vacation, and I had it planned for months that I wanted to stop in at the Case and Zippo store there in Bradford, because that is where both of these have been made for a very, very long time. I believe it's over 100 years. I will say I have not really been, you guys know, I like my modern folders. I only have one slip joint. I have the Jack Wolf Knives Venom Jack that I bought last year at Freight and Lot Co. In Syracuse, New York, when my wife and I, fiance at the time, were going through on our way for a trip in Vermont. So I bought this for there, and I love it. It's, just a fantastic slip joint, and really, I'm not like a big slip joint collector. You guys know, I mean, again, I like modern stuff. I like the folders. I like fidgety things like that. So I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, I love slip joints, but I'm not like going out of my way to collect them. But because we were going through Bradford, I felt like I needed to stop, and I wanted to add something to my collection. Because again, Case has been around for such a long time. It's kind of a, an older, staple in the EDC world. I mean, it's knives that like our dads, like my dad and my grandpa carried, and things like that. Just like that sort of old timey sort of knife. They have been starting to make some newer, modern folders and things like that. But I know the, quality and the fit and finish is kind of hit or miss on it. So I wanted to go in and get something that is, very on par with what Case has been doing for a long time. The Sodbuster design with kind of this bullnose stubby blade. It's been a timeless pattern, and I went with this one. This is rocking the yellow synthetic handle material, which is one of the older ones, ever being used by Case. So I felt like that was kind of a cool thing too. I think it said on here how long. It just says the, yellow is one of the most beloved in the Case line. And I think the lady at the store told me that it was one of their, more long-standing handle materials being used on knives. And I like the yellow. It looks pretty good. This, of course, has the True Sharp Stainless, which is, I believe, it's a special high carbon steel that helps the blades hold an edge longer than conventional steel, while also offering extraordinary blade strength and corrosion resistance. I'm not really sure on par with if this is like 1095 or 440C or things like that. It's a slip joint, so I'm not going to be hard using it. As long as they can open packages and, hold a good edge, I'll be happy with it. Has this really nice kind of stone wash tumbled finish, which I really like. There it says Case XX and then USA. So overall, just a good design. Of course, full back spring. That's what it looks like closed. So I guess I kind of just went all over the materials, before I really meant to, I guess. But as far as materials go, with my review categories, True Sharp Stainless, a beautiful yellow synthetic handle. I love that Sodbuster blade shape. Nice big belly on it. I'm going to go 5 out of 5. Now, again, I don't have a ton of, knowledge, if I'm being honest, on this style of steel and like a lot of the other steels that, old slip joint makers use, like Great Eastern Cutlery. I know they use a, kind of 1095 and things like that, but I don't have a lot of knowledge on that, so I'm not going to speak too much and act like I do. But as far as, I've had it for a little over a month, and it's cut everything that I've needed to cut it fine. And I really have had no issues with it. So yeah, before we move on to the rest of the review, there are multiple handle, there's bone and denim micarta and a couple other, I think, synthetic materials like this. You have red, orange. I'll leave a link to Case's website down below. They also have the normal size Sodbuster, which is bigger than this one. And then real quick, I'll give you some specs which is really the only two specs on here. You have a blade length of 2.8 inches. I think the normal Sodbuster is like 3.6, so it's a good bit larger than this. And then a closed length of 3.625, so nice and small. It is a little bit thicker, but that's kind of how the blades back in those days were made, and still made to this day. And this one is currently sold out on Case's website, but I also, like I said, leave a link to it down below in the description. The store that we went into, now, for those of you that don't really know the western side of Pennsylvania, granted that was the first time I'd been to Bradford, but Bradford's not like it's a very small town, right like on the New York, Pennsylvania border. It's, very small town, very rural, but I will say the store, both on the Zippo side and the Case side, was very, very modern. They had a ton of stuff in there. It was really cool to walk through. There's also a museum, so if you guys are interested in that, I think you can find, information on the Case website as well. But if you're ever in the area, I would highly suggest at least making a stop. My dad also picked up a model from there, or from Case, obviously, but I'm not really sure what the name of it is. I should do a full review on that sometime. I'm home for the weekend, and maybe get some of his opinions and draw it down and give it to you guys as well. But yeah, so we're going to move on into the next category, and that is aesthetic. And I'm already going to put a 5 out of 5 on this one because, obviously I like the knife enough to buy it. I think it looks really good. I love the yellow. The Sodbuster is just a really, not nostalgic to me, but just kind of a timeless and, true to, the test of time sort of blade shape. I think it looks really good. I love the little bit of a curvature it has going on. It's a slip joint, plain Jane, nothing too crazy, very basic materials, but I do think it looks really good. So it's going to get a 5 out of 5. Next up is action, which is not, I will say, the strong suit of the Sodbuster, and I don't think it's really the strong suit of any Case knives when it comes to slip joints. Now, you guys have obviously seen the Venom Jack or any Jack Wolf knives slip, but the action on this, you guys can hear that acoustic and that snap you get on the pull. Now, this is a good walk and talk and a good action when it comes to a slip joint, but they're designed to be that way. It's designed for the collector, for the enthusiast, and it's obviously being made with modern materials and, things of that nature. Now, this is again, something that your grandpa would carry, something that your dad would carry out in the woods. He would, skin small game with it, things like that. They don't care about, it's more a historical base. It's more, again, I don't really have anything else besides, I guess, historical based. I guess that's a good way to put it. It doesn't have, a half stop. You just pull it the whole way through. I probably could oil it a little bit. I did put a little bit in there right when I got home from vacation, and worked it in pretty good. But it doesn't have a half stop, but that's kind of just where I'm so used to pulling the blade to and then stopping to get a readjustment on my grip. That's kind of just, it looks like it does, but it doesn't. I'll pull it the whole way through this time. It's kind of gritty. It's not, not the best, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, but it's not designed to be that way. You get the Jack Wolf knives and the modern slip joints that are being made by other companies, for that aspect of it. But with these knives, you get it, again, for more of just, not hard use, but just, more of a worker sense, I guess. And that's not to say that the Venom Jack can't handle what this can, because it can, and probably more, has better steel, made probably a little bit better. But again, that's not what these are based around, and these have been being made for, like I said, over 100 years. I think it's 125-ish, if I had to guess. I believe I saw it somewhere in the store. But if I'm going to go on action, the pull strength is decent, but like I said, it's just kind of gritty, pulling through. The more you use it and carry it and work it in, it gets better, but it's definitely not the best. And I'm honestly going to give it I hate to be too hard on it, because again, it's not being made and designed to have the best walk and talk and the best action. But I'm going to give it, I'll give it a 3.5. I'll be fair with it. Definitely not the best, but I can appreciate it for what it is. And, at the end of the day, that's kind of all that matters when it comes to some knives that you buy for, more of a, not nostalgic, but more of like a personal connection to it. But next up is acoustics. Excuse me. And I'll say right away, acoustics, not very good on this knife as well. very, very dull. I mean, it's in person, it's really not even loud either, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. We'll go 3. I mean, I don't think that's too far off of what it is. And for me personally, that's, you know, very adequate for what this has for acoustics. But, you know, and that's, again, that's not what this knife is designed for, made for. So we have to take everything with a grain of salt. Because I'm sure at the end of this review, well, I mean, everything else should get a pretty good score besides action and acoustics, because ergos and carry and price point of value, I think, are fine. So, I mean, it'll probably end up scoring decently well besides that 3 and 3.5. But next up is ergos, which this is a smaller knife, I should say. Again, 2.8 inches on the blade, and I think 3.625 it said for the handle, or close, so basically handle. I can just get all 4 fingers on this knife. Has a nice curvature in the blade there, or the handle, excuse me. Comes with a tip back here, and has a little bit of a curvature right here as well, but overall, you know, very, very neutral, very comfortable in hand. Of course, you don't want to, you know, push too much on the blade. But you can have some nice leverage up here if you're doing, you know, push cuts through cardboard, or just need a little bit extra control with your thumb. Again, as long as you're aware of it and you're not pushing onto, you know, the blade onto your finger. Pinch grip works really good with this. But of course, it's, you know, kind of a stocky, you know, bull nose type of blade. So, you know, if you want to cut through Amazon packages, you really got to jack up like this. Or honestly, if you want to turn it around and kind of rip through this way, I've done that before. But the synthetic handle, it's just kind of slabs of both, obviously with like the brass pins through there, or bronze pins through there, whichever they are. You know, it's a little bit chunky, but it feels really good in the hand. It has a nice kind of matted texture to it, a little bit kind of, it warms in the hand almost. And it's, again, it's very, very comfortable. So, I mean, ergos, as far as that goes, for being a smaller knife, nothing to complain about whatsoever. So we're going to give that a 5 as well. Next up is carry. Now, I will say I do want to get a slip for this knife. You know, this is the slip that the Venom Jack rides in, and, you know, it'll fit in there, but it's definitely not, you know, where I keep it. I kind of just chose my knife case for now, but I do want to get a slip for it, and I would honestly like to get a slip, you know, made for the Venom Jack too, because, you know, it has a lot of sentimental value to it, to me, from the knife. So I'd like to get maybe something special with some maybe like engraving on it and things like that. I think that'd be really cool. But I digress. I apologize. But I also do want to get a slip for this because I like slips. I don't carry them as much in the summer because, you know, I get really hot and kind of sweaty sometimes, and I don't want like moisture to get down in the blade or down in the slip and kind of sit on the knife. I definitely carry slip joints more in the fall, winter, spring. When I have jeans, I love carrying a folder and then a slip in my, you know, my left pocket pretty much. So I will carry this a lot more than I have been. Well, I've carried it quite a bit, but I'll carry this a ton more. I'll probably rotate in and out when it comes to carrying slips. But I mean, it's very lightweight. I don't have an ounce, you know, exact weight here, but it's very, very lightweight. It just drops in your pocket and chills down there. You know, small enough knife, it pretty much disappears into my fist. So no complaints there at all. And I feel like once it gets a slip, it'll just only be better. But again, no complaints. You know, I don't have anything, no pocket clips or anything like that. So it just free floats in your pocket, and there is no issue with that. But again, whenever I get a slip, I think it'll be a little bit better of a carry. So we're gonna go 5 out of 5 on the carry. And that brings me to my last category of price point / value / would I recommend this knife. So the price point on the yellow synthetic Sodbuster Jr. is coming at $41.99, which I think is fine. I think, I don't know, I'm not gonna call that necessarily a great value, because I feel like you can get some more modern slip joints being made, you know, in just as good of materials, or maybe even a little bit better materials like D2, micarta, things like that, for 30 to 40 bucks. Maybe like the Rough Rider series, if you guys are into those. I don't have any, you know, knowledge and personal experience with them, so I can't talk too much about them. But I don't think it's a great value, but I don't think the price point is bad whatsoever. A lot of, from what I saw in the store and on the website, a lot of the slip joints from Case, you know, range from anywhere from like 35, 40 bucks all the way up to like $100. It kind of sits in that price range. And, you know, I knew I wanted this one before I even went into the store because I was just, you know, I wasn't looking to spend a ton on a knife, but I wanted something, you know, substantive and quality. So again, to kind of sum up everything, I can absolutely recommend this knife. You know, this has a lot of, you know, pretty much why I bought this knife was for, you know, for the PA history, for being, you know, Bradford's only like 2 hours from where I grew up. So you know, I really wanted kind of that piece of PA history and knife history. Because again, Case has been around for a long time. It's kind of, I'm not going to say it's like a founding father of the EDC world, but it's been, you know, been around for quite a long time. And I just kind of wanted that piece of, you know, that sort of history in my collection. You know, is it the best knife in the world? Absolutely not. Is it like, you know, the best quality, the best materials? No. And I went into buying it knowing that and expecting that. But I'm still happy with my purchase. I think it's a great knife. It's a great companion to have with my, you know, slip joint rotation. So as far as, you know, price, not the best value, but the price for 42 bucks, I mean, you can't really complain too much. I think that's a very fine price, and I can absolutely recommend it. I think if you guys are a fan of, you know, a Sodbuster design, excuse me, it's a great design, great size, pretty good materials. I love that yellow synthetic. And if you're like me and wanting to add a piece of, you know, knife history, or if you're from Northwestern Pennsylvania or even PA in general, and you think it'll be cool, I can recommend it there. So we'll go 4.5 because, again, I don't think it's the best value, but I don't have an issue with the price, if that makes sense to you guys. So let me count up a score here real quick. Alrighty, so the Case Knives Sodbuster Jr. is coming in with a score of 31 out of 35, which lands it in my great category. I do think this is a great knife. I mean, it's not the best. It's not, you know, blowing anyone away with materials and fit and finish and things like that. But again, for like the 5th time, that's not why I bought this knife. And I think most of you by this point in the video understand why I bought this knife and can appreciate why. And I just, you know, this will be a piece in my collection forever, just like my Venom Jack. So yeah, drop a comment down below. Did any of you guys ever have a Sodbuster or Sodbuster Jr. in your collection? Do any of you guys collect case knives in general? You know, maybe it's something that your grandpa started collecting you on and you just kept following through and now you have a really nice collection. As always, I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, but I'm going to wrap this up now. So this was my full review on the Case Knives Sodbuster Jr. You know, appreciate all you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, weekend, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.